Hey guys, so I'm back with another flip. I got this really cute little bedside table at an auction. I only paid $1 for the table. I did it in a little bit of a farmhouse distress kind of style with some smoked glaze on the top. It turned out super, super cute. I can't wait for you guys to check it out, so stay tuned. Here you can see my daughter and I are beginning to clean the piece. I did remove the hardware prior to the beginning of cleaning. I'm just spraying it down with a light degreaser that I got from the dollar store, and I'm washing it off with just plain water. And then afterwards you get everything scrubbed down. You want to go ahead and rinse it again. That way you get all of the soap residue off, and that way there's nothing left and your paint won't have any trouble sticking to your piece. Check out this dirty water shot. This is why we clean our pieces. Now there's a few staples I just started to remove. You can see in a second I was teaching my daughter how to remove staples, but you don't want to leave these, because if you're not going to put extra legs on it, this would definitely scratch your floor, so just remove those. Now I opted to remove these decorative pieces. I just didn't like them. It made it look really dated. You'll see in a little while after I remove these why I found out why they were actually there in the first place. But I did also remove all 4 of the little round feet. I just didn't like them. I felt like it didn't really fit the piece, and I found some on Amazon that I liked much better. These were glued and pegged in, so I just took a chisel and a hammer to them, and they come off really easily. And now I'm super glad I did, because I like how it turned out. Now, after removing those decorative pieces, they were actually holding the tabletop together. There was a huge split that separated whenever I did remove those. So now you can see I'm just wood gluing those back together, and I'm going to clamp it in a couple of places and then just leave it to dry overnight. You'll see in just a second, I love involving my daughter. I love teaching her. She's only 4, and you can see her. She likes to help me out a little bit, so she's helping me twist the clamp. I love it. It's so cute. Here you can see I'm going to go ahead and repaint this hardware. I did settle on a flat black spray paint. I did spray it just like this, how it is pictured, and then I did flip it over, flip the handles up, and I sprayed it one more time, so it has a total of 2 coats. After letting this sit overnight with the glue, I did go ahead and remove all of the clamps, and I checked the seam. Everything looked great. There was a little bit of glue that did squish out, so I'm going to go ahead and take some 120 sandpaper and sand that down, try to get all of the glue residue off. Here you can see I'm just going to go ahead and do a light scuff sand. I plan on painting this entire piece, so I'm not going to be taking all of this varnish off down to bare wood. So a good scuff sand over the entire thing. I'm just using a 120 sandpaper. Just make sure you kind of rough it up a little bit, and that'll help the paint adhere to it a little bit better. After sanding, you want to definitely take a dry microfiber cloth to your piece. You can see how much dust is flying off of there. That just ensures that none of that dust is going to cause your paint to not stick to your piece. I am sanding the entire inside of this drawer, including all of the walls. I am starting out with a 120, then a 180, and then finishing up with a 220. That way all of the wood is really nice and smooth. Now I'm starting to prime the piece here. I don't always prime before I paint, but here, because of how much glue that seeped out because I didn't scrape it off, I did sand it and I went down to bare wood. So I'm a little bit afraid of bleed through, so I'm going to use a primer that has a shellac base to it just to make sure that we prevent any of that. Now we can get to the fun part. So I'm beginning painting here. I am using the Scarlet brush by Dixie Belle, and I'm also painting the whole piece in linen white chalk paint from Rust-Oleum. And then the very top and then the top of the drawer, I'm painting it in the color Steel. It's a chalk paint by Waverly. I did get all of these at Walmart. You can also see I do have a spray bottle. It's a lot easier working with chalk paint if you need to thin it out a little bit to eliminate some of those brush strokes. If you want a really smooth finish like I'm doing here, I'm sanding down my first coat of paint with a really fine grit sandpaper. I'm doing 320 here. This really just eliminates a lot of the extra brush strokes you have, leaving you with a really smooth finish. And then also make sure you wipe everything down again with a dry microfiber cloth so you get all of that extra paint dust off. I did end up doing just 2 coats on the body of the nightstand, but on the top I did go ahead and do 3 coats for good full coverage, as well as the same with the face of the drawer. I did have to drill new holes for the new legs that I'm getting ready to put on. I didn't measure these, but I just kind of took the existing holes and I added a hole right directly in the center of those. I used a drill bit that was just slightly smaller than the screw that was on the legs, and I just really forced it to turn so it had a really nice tight fit, and I did that on all 4 of the legs. Now that all the paint was really nice and dry, I took some coarser sandpaper to it. I wanted to give it just a little bit of distressing, that way it kind of had that little bit of a farmhouse vibe. So I just went on all of the edges that had a sharp edge and ran the sandpaper over that and around all of the curves. You want to go, you can distress it as much as you like. I just wanted a really, really light distressing, so I just barely kind of broke the surface of the paint a little bit. I am going to be treating this drawer inside and outside with some homemade wood conditioning butter. What I'm doing is I'm just taking a waxing brush and I'm swirling it around, going straight, backwards, every which way to make sure that wax gets into the grain of the wood. What it does is it rehydrates the wood, it makes it look beautiful again, kind of restores it, but it also protects it at the same time. Be sure to tune into my YouTube channel next week because I am going to be uploading a video on how to make this exact wood butter yourself. Now I'm just going to be glazing the top face of this drawer. I'm also going to be doing it to the very top of the nightstand itself. I'm using just a really cheap chip brush, and I'm doing an aged glaze by Rust-Oleum Chalk. I really like this stuff. It makes it look, after you wipe it off, it makes it look like it has a really smoky kind of finish to it when you use a gray underneath. So what you do is you just take and you paint it over the entire surface of whatever you're making, and then you're going to take a lint-free cloth or a t-shirt or anything that you have like that, and you're going to just take off as much as you want. You can also leave it on there to dry as long as you want, but the longer you leave it on, the more stays behind. So I didn't want too much to stay behind, so I went ahead and just wiped it off right away, making sure that you get into all of the cracks and everything, so you can get as much as the streaks off as you really are wanting. Time for top coat. So what I'm doing is I'm just using a really inexpensive foam brush, and I've chosen to use matte clear protective top coat from Rust-Oleum Chalked. Now what you want to do when you are top coating is you want to do really thin coats, and you want to try and stick with the same brush strokes going in the same direction. Sometimes you'll have to turn it around to kind of get in some cracks and crevices here and there, but after you've done all of that, try to go over it again so you have very minimal brush strokes. You can see here I'm kind of going sideways because there's a little bit of lip on this nightstand, but then I go over the entire piece again to minimize your brush strokes. The nice thing about this top coat is it does go on white, which makes it really easy for you to be able to tell where you've painted and where you haven't painted, but as it's drying, it does dry all the way down to completely clear. It's time to put the hardware in. So I'm taking that hardware that we refinished in that matte black color, and I'm just putting all their screws back in, making sure everything is a really nice fit. Now we're just going to stage it for pictures. I'm just putting some very simple decor on top, trying to not stray away from the piece itself. And here's how it looks now. For how dated this piece was in the beginning, how incredibly dirty it was, it's amazing to see the transformation that it's had, and I'm so excited for this piece to have a new life. So what do you guys think? Didn't it turn out really good? From it being really dated in the beginning with that kind of yellowish oranges stain to a fresh, new, beautiful white farmhouse kind of style. I really love how this one turned out. It gave me a run for my money in the beginning, but we did get it taken care of. So a little bit about the numbers. I spent $1 on the bedside table. With the paint and finish and the new legs, everything, I would say I'm probably all in at about $25. So really not bad at all. I'm gonna list it on Facebook Marketplace for $75 and see how long it takes to sell it. I've never done a bedside table, so it's a little bit new thing for me. So I will keep you updated, and I'll let you know down in the description box whether I sell it or not and how long it takes. All right, guys, so happy flipping, and I will see you